Hello, I'm a Yorkshireman in New York. Now then, this video is going to be called something snazzy like Top 10 Tips for British People Planning to Attend New York Comic Con. And then I thought I'd just call it NYCC Brit Tips, because it felt a bit smoother, a little bit sexier. So that's what it's called. These are my top tips, my 10 top tips, if you're thinking about, considering even, going to visit New York Comic Con, but you're based in the UK. Now, I've just celebrated my big 5-0, and going to Comic Con in New York was my treat to myself for my 50th, because it's not a cheap endeavour. You've got to fly there, you've got to stay there, and then you've got to pay for Comic Con and everything that ensues off the back of that. So I thought it might be helpful, because I'm a helpful chap at heart, to share with you some of my experiences in terms of getting ready to go and actually kind of deciding to go. And you know, it is quite a big deal, and I was taking my son with me, so you know, I had to sort of sort him out as well and sort of make sure we were both prepped and organised to get there and do it. And a little bit of background just before I get into my top 10 tips, but I will share with you my first tip before you disappear off. My first tip is to wear sensible shoes. I think I've pinched that from a song, but you should absolutely wear sensible shoes, because the Javits Conference Centre, in which the con takes place, is immense, and you will be on your feet a lot of the time. Which also leads me to my second top tip, which is stools. A lot of the Americans who had clearly been there before, or were better informed than I was, had these collapsible stools with them. So they were literally just flat, and you could go bzzup, and you can make yourself a little stool. And you'll see from some of the images that I put up during the video that, you know, there is the potential for a lot of queuing. You can queue in queues for panels, you can queue in queues for photo ops, you can queue in queues for autographs even, if you really want to. There's all sorts of queuing experiences to be had at Comic Con. Not what most people tend to go for, but if, like me, you are getting to a certain age and you do not wish to be stood up all the time, or indeed sat on the floor, which is what many people did to eat and so on, bring a stool with you. It's a good tip. It's generally a good tip. A little bit more background just in terms of why I went and what sort of Comic Cons mean to me. Now, I, to this point in my life, had not been to many things that could justifiably be called a modern Comic Con. The term Comic Con has been adopted by many things I feel personally are not really Comic Cons. They are gatherings of like-minded people who happen to like fantasy, science fiction, comics, that sort of thing. But I think you have to hit a certain level of scale and organisation to be able to call yourself a proper Comic Con, which New York and San Diego obviously do, because they're probably the daddies of them all, basically. I've been to ones in Cromford that are sort of outside and inside, and they're cute, they're lovely. I love them for what they are, but they're not really Comic Cons. They've just borrowed the term. My first convention experience, and it wasn't called a Comic Con, my first convention experience was 30 years ago. It dawned on me as I was heading out there. 30 years ago, 1995, I went to a Comic Con for Babylon 5 called Wolf 359. It was just for Babylon 5, but Major Roddenberry was there because she was also in Babylon 5, so it was a little bit of a Trek influence. And it was in a single Manchester hotel called the Satchers. I think it's pronounced like that. And it was a lovely experience. Probably the first time I'd been together with very like-minded people. And I loved it. I loved it. But it was nothing like New York, you know, completely different thing. But New York very much reminded me of why I enjoyed that back in '95. but I haven't been to one like this residentially since, for whatever reason. I don't know. I just, life happened and it just didn't happen again. So, yeah, I mean, traveling that far, the flight is a solid 7 hours. I went premium economy, which I treated myself to. You don't have to, obviously, but you can. A bit more leg room, probably slightly better meals, that sort of thing. But that's personal choice. And I went at what remains a fairly sort of uncertain time for America, I think it's fair to say. And I know that foreign travel to America was down at the time that I went. So I was hesitant about going just on principle, but then I also thought I'm only going to be the big 5-0 once in my life. So if I'm going to do it, I should just do it. And I actually spoke to someone at work who'd been recently, and she's basically said, don't worry about it, it's fine, it's not, you get fed a lot of stuff by the media inevitably, and I'm not going to debate that on this video, that's not what I'm here for, but basically America will still be America regardless of who's in charge. So, so I took heart from that and I went. I booked us a hotel, which as it turned out was a godsend because it was a straight shot from there to the Javits Conference Center. So it was on the west side of Manhattan, a little bit away from the theatre district and Times Square, so it's a little bit cheaper. It's called the Voco. It was perfectly adequate for what we needed. I got a room with 2 double beds in, so it was quite a decently big room. And strangely, I was on the floor that coincided with the date of my birth. So that was weird and nice at the same time. What's the best British equivalent? Kind of a good, solid Premier Inn type place, basically. And we didn't actually get breakfast there, but you could. But you're in New York, there are lots of places to eat. And I will use that as a segue to talk about food. You're in New York, there will be pizza, there will be burgers, there will be hot dogs, there will be bagels. You will not starve, but you will need to pay for it all. So we ate at the con. There are food stalls in the con. They're not the cheapest. It's like going to the cinema. They're not the cheapest because they've got a captive audience. A lot of people will tend to get a bagel and bring it with them to eat during the day to keep themselves going, and then they'll have a meal at night. So that's an option. We didn't take it because I wasn't quite that organised and my son wasn't quite that patient. So we would tend to go out in the morning, have breakfast, go back to the hotel, get ready, go, and then sort of get ourselves organised for the day and go to the con. The con opens at 10, but we tended to go for a little bit after that just so that we wouldn't get caught in any queues or any mad dashes through the door because we weren't there for Funko Pop exclusives. That wasn't a thing that we were doing. But that does lead me to another point, which is choices. This was a piece of advice I got from Reddit, and there was an NYCC Reddit group which was really, really good for me. And it very wisely said, decide on the things that you really, really want to go to. Anything else is a bonus. And that's a big yup. That's a big, big yup. Because you are never, ever going to see it all, even if you go for 4 days, which is what I did. You are never going to see it all. Incidentally, do get your tickets reasonably early, but I don't think I was in any danger of not getting 4 days, even getting them on general sale. I think it was back in sort of June, July time before the October start date. I was quite panicky about it. I thought I really needed to move quickly. It wasn't ridiculously sold out rapidly. Some people will have like premier access to it and get some early tickets that are 4-day tickets. That's perfectly possible, but there aren't many of them. There's a VIP option. It's very expensive. You get lots of bolt-ons, but again, not vital for the Commonwealth Garden Joe like perhaps you and me. So yeah, there are lots of different. It's like Russian dolls. There are multiple cons at New York Comic Con. There are comics, there are comic authors, artists, there are novel writers, novelists even, There are people hunting autographs. There are people who want photo opportunities. There are people who want to go to all the panels. There are people who want to go around the show floor and buy stuff and see stuff and see what things are going to be coming out from toy companies soon. And all of that good stuff is there, but you can't possibly fit it all in unless you are running around at flash speeds. It's not going to happen. So pick your targets, okay? That's would be one of my solid pieces of advice. Make your choices and pick your targets and focus on those. If you do anything else, treat it as a bonus. And I had to do those things myself as well. I did hit pretty much all of the things I aimed to, but some things I did have to leave by the wayside. And that's one of my other top tips is flexibility. You've got to be flexible. So for example, I was trying to get an autograph from Simon Pegg. His autograph time moved. I was trying to get a photo op from Carl Urban. His photo op time moved, and that they were only there for certain days. So I had to get them on the days they were there, and I had to be adaptable. So this ties in with the choices factor, but you're going to have to be prepared to ditch certain things to get other things because they are unpredictable. The autographs and the photo ops were not run by the same company, which is Popverse, I think it is, that runs Comic-Con. So they are not talking to one another. They don't care about the panels clashing with something else. They just happen when they happen. So if autographs and photo ops are your priority, you will have to be prepared to miss other things to hit those because they will shift because of actors' obligations, to act, basically. So keep that in mind. So we've covered shoes, stool, food, flexibility, choices. Now, as you might have imagined, I've also covered HQ a little bit, but let me, when I say HQ, I mean, think about where you want to put yourself. If you've got small children, you're going to need a headquarters, HQ, that is near to the conference centre. If you are vastly more familiar with New York than I am, maybe you know a good place to stick yourself where you can get on a subway and go straight to the Javits Centre. I don't know. I put myself within walking distance, and that was almost accidental. I was actually looking for, a hotel that was within my price range, that was available. I didn't book through the discounted options that were available through the website for New York Comic Con, simply because I couldn't quite convince myself that there were places that I wanted to stay in. I don't think they were bad at all, but I could see other places that were comparable prices that were available that I felt were better matches for my personal taste. That was all. That's all it came down to, and my budget, obviously. But as it turned out, I was able to get the hotel, which was proclaimed by Trustpilot or someone to be within the top 100 in New York. I have no idea how accurate that was, but it was well placed for the conference centre, and therefore pretty much everything else going, because it's quite central. So do plan your headquarters better than I did, actually, and to draw yourself a semicircle. The Javits Conference Centre is right on the Hudson River, so you can't go past it. If you go past it, you're gonna get wet feet. So you need to look to the right of it and above and below it, and then you will find that sort of area is the easy area to walk in from. I want to talk about the intensity of it. You might have gathered from the tone that I was adopting here that there is a shed load of things that you could be doing, many things that you might want to do, but there are also a lot of other people there who are trying to do all the same stuff that you're trying to do, and there will be queues and there will be crowds. If you are not a crowds person, then you're going to have to think quite carefully about whether this is the right place for you. I'm not saying that it's mad all the time, but I am saying that it will be mad a lot of the time, I think, particularly in certain places, probably particularly when exclusives are happening, or if it's Saturday, because Saturday tickets sold out first. So that's when a lot of people go, because of course for a lot of people this is their local Comic Con. This took me a while to understand, but for a lot of people, this is just their local Comic Con because they're New Yorkers. So actually this isn't a big deal for them. They haven't travelled thousands of miles to get there. It's just their local Comic Con that happens every year that they've been going to for years and years. It's not like a one-off for them. So they will all rock up on Saturday because it's their weekend, and I don't think Americans are overly keen on holidays during the week. So Thursday, Friday might be quieter days, but of course the problem is if you limit yourself to Thursday, Friday, you're not going to see all the famous people who are going to come because they won't all be there all 4 days. So this is where planning comes in handy, and I will mention, this isn't on my top 10 tips, but there will be, if they stick to what they did this year, there will be an app that comes out annoyingly close to the event time, but probably because the agenda of things that is happening will only get finalised right near the time when the con is actually going to happen. So I was like this. I was crossing everything, praying to God that the people I particularly wanted to see and had bought autographs and photo ops for weren't going to cancel at the last minute, because that could happen. So again, flexibility. Things will happen unexpectedly, but just be ready for it. Again, I haven't written on my little crib sheet here, but you're going to need to get an ESTA at the time of recording, which is basically the thing that allows you to get into the States without having an all-out visa. That was a very important tip that was given to me by a work colleague, again, early doors. And I was very grateful for that because it let me get my ducks in a row. Now, Miggins here, being old school, I had a paper copy of the proof that I'd actually paid for this and got this ESTA. No one else did. Everyone else was just happily reliant on the electronic fact that they'd got it and put an electronic tick in the box. And I could have gotten away with that apparently because no one else was showing it to anybody on the way in. But obviously, I'm just old school like that. But doing it online clearly worked for me as well because I didn't need to show my paper version to anyone. But you will need that to get into America these days, even for a short holiday. I went for a week. So yeah, intensity is a big thing because there are thousands of people going to this thing. It is a big deal. And of course there are lots of cosplayers as well. But I mentioned the possibility that you might go with kids. There were kids in cosplay. There were lots of kids there. There were tiny little babies there being carted around because again, for some people it's their local con. The facilities were excellent. There were lots of toilets, lots of WCs around. There were also quiet rooms. Now that's really important for the intensity point because even if your child isn't normally someone who reacts poorly to intensity, this is a lot to handle at any age. Even for me, I was a bit. I knew it was going to be like that, so I was kind of mentally prepared. I'm old, so I'm not easily surprised these days. But it's a lot. But they're very clever because they know they're going to be people who are on the spectrum there as well. So they need to allow people to decompress, and they do. There are small rooms where you can go and you can just sit in complete silence if that's what you wish to do, and just chill the F out. And I applaud them for that because again they thought of everything. There are plenty of places to eat in there. There are lots of eating choices and drinking choices. There's a whole area which is like a food court like you'd find in a mall effectively, where you've got multiple options of sort of pretzels and hot dogs and chicken fingers, and all of these are staples of the New York Comic Con, it seems. But yeah, it's really good, so don't worry about that. It's not going to be a problem, basically. If you're going as a family, it's not going to be a problem at all. Getting in every day was very, very smooth. Plastic cards, they just, near field contact them, it says valid, and you walk straight in, sorted. There is a relatively complex system of buying tickets, then getting your cards, then activating your tickets to associate them with the cards to get in. It's perfectly logical, and it's all done in a very sort of supportive fashion. But if, like me, you're traveling internationally, you'll have to go to what's called the will call area, which we did the day before the con started. It was already fully set up clearly. You couldn't go in, but we could see that it was clearly set up. And we literally just walked in on the Wednesday morning before the Thursday when it started officially, went to the will call, announced ourselves, showed them the receipts and everything else, and we walked straight out again with our plastic cards to get us in the next day. It was a doddle. I cannot praise the setup and the sort of the logicality and the organisation of it enough. It was really, really easy. So you just need to get enough of your ducks in a row when you're going out to be comfortable that you're not going to be panicking when you get there, because it is good, it's well done. And if you can get some sort of idea of your own agenda before you go, that will massively help your peace of mind when you get there. And it's going to take you a little while to acclimatise to it all. It's a big place, plenty of maps. The app itself has a map built into it as well. It's got a schedule built into it. You can build your own schedule if that's what you want to do as well on the app. But as I say, if I were to criticise, the app was just a little bit late to appear because I'd already done my own little schedule and agenda, and I'd put in my sightseeing stuff around it as well. And then the app came out. Then the app would have let me do that on the app. So there was that. But but these are things that you pick up with experience, which is why I'm making this video, so I can give you the benefit of my experience as a Brit trying to do this long range, obviously. Let's talk about money. You'll need some. That will definitely help. Now, I, again on a work colleague's recommendation, very wise recommendation, I got a credit card that did not charge me foreign currency transaction fees when I used it to buy stuff in dollars. That will save you a shed load of cash, because you can imagine how many bits and bobs you're going to buy, and then add a percentage onto that each time, or a fixed amount each time for a transaction fee. You do not want that. So I got mine, I think it was the Advantage card from Halifax. A few people do them. And that will allow you to get a decent exchange rate and not get transaction fees. Some of them will even allow you to withdraw cash, but they'll probably start charging you interest straight away. So just be wary of that one. I did take some paper folding dollars with me, and I chewed through all of those. Most stalls and cabs, and obviously other places in New York, will just happily take plastic. The dollars only really came into it for some of the smaller stall holders who simply expressed a preference for cash. And that was when I would use the cash, basically. I might also use cash for tips, because the standard thing with money in the States is that the price you see on a tag is not the price you pay, like, ever. So that the price you pay is the price that we would pay if VAT wasn't included. So there is the price on the tag, then there's the sales tax, and then there's probably a tip if there's any form of sales service going on. This bit I always found a little bit confusing. I was never quite sure when to tip. I would categorically tip at restaurants because there's a service thing going on. If somebody had done a particular sort of assistance service, I would probably tip in that situation as well. Otherwise, I think if you're just buying something, you don't tip. I think that's the way of it. So the exchange rate was pretty good when I went. Just be aware when you go of roughly how much things are going to cost you. I've already mentioned that the food situation in the Javits Centre is a little bit like a cinema, so you will get somewhat overcharged, but we never had any tummy problems when we were there. So I didn't mind that so much because I knew it was there, I knew where we were going to get it from, and that was part of the day's planning, is that we knew we were going to get a hot dog. We sat down on a floor next to a pillar and we had our hot dog, and then we got on with it again. So it's easy, and there'll be drinks there and everything else, so it's good. The other funny thing, we noticed this as soon as Thursday kicked in, and this would be my other top tip in terms of if you're nervous about going at all. Once the con is going, con goers take over the immediate local vicinity. You will see these sorts of lanyards hanging around everybody's neck in New York when the con is active. There are thousands of people going to the same thing you are. They are all there for the same reason that you are, and for the most part, they will probably be quite friendly. Yes, friendly people in America. I know it is a thing, particularly in the Comic-Con. If you've never been to one before, it's very hard for me to explain to you the feeling of being in a Comic-Con, but my best analogy is going to your home football match and sitting in the home crowd for such an occasion. It's like that for 4 days straight, basically. That is the feeling. It's this strange familial feel, and the funny thing is that as a Brit going to New York, you are called for that immediately, because your accent, wherever you come from in Britain, you will be blatantly not American. So therefore, the people who love the British, which is many Americans, will immediately go, oh my God, you're British, and then you're in. And it's a talking point, and you're talking. And like I said, there are queues, you will talk to people. I had some lovely conversations with a hobbit in a queue, it was great. And you will share your love of everything science fiction-y, comic-y, everything else with people inherently. It's just that sort of place. So you probably already know this because you're watching this video. This implies to me that you are interested in going to New York Comic Con at some point, and therefore are the sort of minded individual who will enjoy going to such places. I haven't mentioned there's a family area, actually, in my facilities. There is an actual dedicated area which had like free pinball machines and stuff. It's not on the show floor, it's beneath the show floor on the sort of lower ground floor. They don't call the ground floor, they call it the first floor, by the way. It's quite confusing on lifts initially because you're looking for the G. There is no G, there's only a 1. It's very confusing, but you do get used to it. And obviously, you know, there were various other little sort of oddities like taps of faucets and all that sort of thing. You know, it's different. But anyway, yeah. So it's the whole area will be taken over by people who are going to the Comic-Con. So you will know that many people, they may have travelled within the States, they may just be locals to New York, but you know, if you wanted to try to speak to somebody outside, or you wanted to make, I mean, I don't think, we didn't make friends. We had some fascinating conversations with people, but we didn't then sort of have an ongoing relationship with them because everyone's got their own things that they're going to. So it's really hard to actually just sort of mesh and do that. So obviously if you're traveling with your own group, great, that's going to be a self-made support group. I found it incredibly helpful having a 17-year-old child with me because he's not really a child now. He's a small adult basically. And you know, funny, I once went back to the room where I thought I'd left him and he wasn't there, which is always disturbing as an adult, as a parent. And I then got this phone call from him and he basically said, Dad, the autograph queue for Simon Pegg started early, you got to come now. And because he knew that I really wanted to get an autograph from Simon Pegg, bless him. So I went shooting across and he was there like holding a plate, like sort of hot footing from one foot to the other, going, come on Dad, come on. So it's just like, but it is immensely helpful because you know, the other person will see stuff that one person won't see. And that was just one of the sort of the fun memories. And it is about memories for me. You know, we've got some really, really lovely memories from that holiday between us now, which I value greatly. And this is why I wanted to do this video now while the memories are still quite fresh still. Because I know they won't always be, but we have got some lovely photos and stuff between us. And obviously, you know, the mobile phones and stuff these days makes it a doddle to do that. This camera actually did not really come out much in the con at all because it would have been too slow. So actually your mobile is going to be your best friend. So if you do an upgrade, do what I did and upgrade it before you go, because that was a godsend for me. That made my life a lot easier. Internet. You can, I believe, get eSIMs, which will not charge you through the nose to get mobile internet in the States. To my surprise, I couldn't get a US roaming package easily at all as a consumer user rather than a business user of my phone. So what tended to happen was that one of us would pay this daily charge and then the other would hotspot Wi-Fi off their connection and we found that was the best workaround. So we only had to pay the daily charge for one of us, but we both got usage of Wi-Fi. And obviously once we were back in the hotel, we had Wi-Fi. There was Wi-Fi in the Javits as well, which is free. I wouldn't recommend doing anything secure in the Javits, obviously, because it's a very wide open network. But that for the most part was pretty sturdy, given the sheer volume of people trying to use it at any given point in time, quite frankly. I've kind of run through my top 10 tips, which was shoes, stool, food, intensity, money, flexibility, HQ, choices, takeover, facilities. Those were my 10. And I'm sort of filling slightly at this point, simply because I'm trying to do a bit of a brain dump for you. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else particularly Comic-Con related that I haven't covered. If you want to get things like this T-shirt and indeed an upgrade to this lanyard, you will have to pay for those, but you can collect them when you get there. That's a whole different stall and a whole different queue. But of course it would be. But they are cool. I mean, this is nice. It's a nice quality T-shirt. It's only just a few days past Halloween now, so I don't feel too bad still wearing it. But it's a nice little memento. Obviously they won't be super cheap, but it does mean that you've got it in advance and you know they're not going to run out of them before you get them. I did notice though they were still selling them after the con itself, so they must have had a few left. So, but then you'd have to do international postage and stuff, and it's just easier to go and collect them if you want to do that sort of thing. If you would like to ask me questions in the comments, then obviously please do, and I will, I'll try and get to them in reasonable time if at all possible. I do have a daily commute, so I do often have a chance to look at my phone at that point in time. What else can I tell you? Premium economy let me take 2 large suitcases, which amused me because I hadn't thought about that as a concept, but that might be a bonus for you as a family as well. And it also allows you to bring stuff back, and it allows you to take cosplay there if that's your thing. We only did very light cosplay. I mean, it took me a while to put it together, admittedly, but it was very light cosplay, and nobody recognised who I was trying to be because I went obscure, because that's me. I'm always into the obscure stuff, can't help it. So yeah, health insurance, you have to maybe think about that in terms of travel insurance generally, because obviously Americans don't do free healthcare. So you will definitely want some of that, but then your bank account might give you that anyway. So just that's another thing to think about. Obviously make sure your passports are well in date. Yeah, I mean I really can't think of that much more to say. I never really found there's a good Facebook group for New York Comic Con as well. For some reason I only found that out after I'd been. When I was looking for places to put my photos and stuff, there was actually a very good Facebook group on there. But I went for Reddit because I found that Reddit tends to give very solid, sensible advice from people who've already been. And they gave me a lot of sort of info on the local area immediately surrounding it. So there's Hell's Kitchen to the north if you want to eat food. There's a Hudson Yards Mall, which is just south of the Javits Center, again within walking distance easily. And you can buy lots of stuff there. You can even get sort of breakfast and stuff in there. It's quite high end as malls go, I feel, but that is an option. But there are loads of eateries around the place, and like anything else in life, you can pay whatever you want to pay. I mean, you are in New York. There is a certain New York levy, if you like. I think you're paying because you're in New York. But with the exchange rate the way it was, we could eat in the evening for about sort of 20 quid a head, probably, for a meal and a drink. It wasn't ridiculous. You can get pizza slices for $3, and they're quite big pizza slices. They're substantial pizza slices. I got 2, and it was quite filling. But that might just be by British standards. I don't know, and my age, of course. But yeah, it's a lovely time. It's not weather dependent because it's all enclosed. You'll be fine. You'll be in a bunch of like-minded people. It'll be bonkers. It's big. It's noisy. There's lots of cosplayers. Some of it's quite revealing, some of it's quite scary, some of it's just cool, you know. And you'll probably have some very good conversations with people and meet some very interesting people and all of that sort of good stuff. And I think my final piece of advice to you is just do it. Just do it. You are going to have to think about it. You can't just do it on impulse, I'm afraid. But I would encourage you to just do it, because you don't know when you're going to get the chance to do it again. You might never get the chance to do it again. Life's like that sometimes, you know. Life can just kick you when you're not expecting it. So if you have the opportunity and you can see your way clear to do it, and you can afford it sensibly, go for it. Please go for it. Because you will, you know, you're in New York. You can go and do all the New Yorky things around the edges if you can manage to find the time to do it. We did pretty well, but you are going to have to be fit. And I don't mean like mega fit, but you're going to have to be prepared to walk. And I go back to my sensible shoes thing, because you are going to need to be mobile and move yourself. Cabs are expensive, but New York in the centre is not that big an area to cover on your feet. So be prepared to move, be prepared to be mobile, be flexible, bounce around, look at city passes, look at big bus tours. They'll help you to be mobile and to visit the big attractions at discounted rates. So they are options that you might want to look into. You can also get theatre tickets discounted with City Pass, which I didn't, but you can. You know, there's just so much you can do, and I can't do all of that in a single video, I'm afraid. But I hope this has been of some limited use to you if you're thinking about doing this. And as I say, you know, hit me up in the comments, like and subscribe, all of that good stuff. And who knows, I might even make it there again before I'm too decrepit to be able to get round. Perhaps I'll just be going around in a Zimmer frame being an old Xavier or something. I don't know, who knows. But yeah, think about it, yeah? And then just do it. Cheers for now. Welcome to Comic-Con New York 2025. It's just Thursday and it's quite busy. Oh yes,